If I go to the shopping mall, I'm definitely being conditioned, right? To buy, to buy, to buy. So that's being part of a WA. If I commit to an OC16, I sign a contract to work with a company, I'm also committing my time now. So when that commitment happens and it's an organized thing, it's an OC16.
And welcome, everyone. We are back. Vanessa, another year. I can't believe
Another
it.
year.
Is this our first? We just completed, was it our first year or second year?
Second year.
Oh, I think we're pros now. We're getting to be pros. Yes. So we have a lively group today. We have, of course, we have Vanessa. Banu is back.
No?
She's going to be joining us for her final OC16. This has been a wonderful kind of sequence that we did. So today is going to be our last one, sad to say. And we have Jim Hands. Jim is kind of like a secret member of the BG5 community, and he kind of sneaks in here. He's a comedian, so he might have a joke or two for us. And then we have Daniella, who has been studying OC16, and we have our guest, Asda. So this show, do we know what it's about, Vanessa? This whole...
Do we know what it's about? Is this my cue to welcome everybody to BG5 Live, the show for BG5 and human design professionals, students, and enthusiasts who want a deeper understanding on how to apply human design to business so that they can thrive in their careers and support their clients in doing the same.
I love when Vanessa does that. Hey, everyone. So for those people not in the know, our new year traditionally starts in like everyday terms. It starts on January 1st, but in the human design land, it doesn't actually start until mid to late January. So just a heads up, this year it starts at January 22nd in the early hours of the morning. So 0054. So it's like 1 a.m. So for Europe, anyone in Europe, it starts on January 22nd. If you're in the United States or kind of west of UTC, it starts at January 21st. So Vanessa, for you and I, and maybe Jim, it starts just before 8 o'clock p.m. on January 21st. So we'll be talking about that more in our next BG5 Live, but I just wanted to give you a heads up for the new year. All right, moving into OC16. Bono, I'm gonna be your guide here. You can bring me through. So this last section, we're working on our final OC16 strength, which is the 2750.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is about logical enforcement.
Logical enforcement.
It's definitely about logic.
Yes.
And you kind of like tying that to the circuitry in the beginning, right? So it's the tribal defense, it's the cradle of humanity, it rules the war, and it connects the collective really to the war, actually. And we're going to take, last time we took a look at interaction through the 59.6. And today we're looking at 2750. And it is very logical. Yes, I'm sure you have those slides too for us to take a look at the circuit it ties into.
Yeah.
And we can discuss about that. And then we will talk about, go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say, would you like to go over the strength itself, just in the chart, and then we'll bridge out to the OC16 version?
Well, we could, yeah.
Let's do that. And it's exciting because Vanessa actually has this in her design, so she can give it.
Oh, so Vanessa, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, somebody who has it.
Vanessa, why don't you take us through this and then your experience of it, and then we can move into the exploring the OC16 version.
All right, so 2750 custodianship, and it is made up of the traits of 27 of nourishment, which is my unconscious core essence and my unconscious communication. So that is Sun and Mercury in human design language. And 50 values, which is both of my Uranus placements or unusualness in BG5 language. So others naturally look to you for support and nurturing. You're someone others naturally trust. You can take responsibility for others' well-being, aware, however, of taking on too much responsibility. You can support others in establishing and defending the values and laws of a business or group, or attending to the actual care of those around you. If someone wants your care, they must ask for it. It is only through your gut response that you know whether you have the energy to take on the responsibility. Remember, nurturing others begins with taking care of yourself first. You can only care for and guide others towards survival or success when you are strong and healthy.
So what's your
So you want,
experience? Yeah, I'd love
okay,
to
so I'll
hear.
share my personal experience first, then my business experience. So my
Okay.
personal experience is specifically in my family is that, and I think this very much ties into also my 5-1 public role or profile, is that my mom and my sister would have expectations of me that were so ridiculous and like beyond the realm of anything reasonable for somebody who is the child, not the parent, and the younger sister. That this, I mean, there were things that I was like, I can't believe that they're asking me to do these things. Like, they're just no. And it took me a while. Like when I was young, I always felt the need to say yes. But I'll give one example where my mom asked me, she had filed for bankruptcy and she wanted to get a new car and she asked me to co-sign for it. And I had co-signed for a car in the past for her, and I have excellent credit. Like I'm just very responsible in that way. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll co-sign for you. Then all of a sudden, because she had a bankruptcy on record, they wanted to put the entire car in my name, as well as the insurance. Mind you, my mom is not the best driver on the planet. And when it got to that point, I was like, absolutely not. Like, no, no, just no. And it was really hard to say no to my mom around that. But I was just like, I can't do that. I'm sorry. And lo and behold, my mom, she did end up passing away during that lease. Her partner ended up co-signing for her. He ended up signing for her. And he also ended up taking over the car. If I had signed for that, if that car had been in my name, I would have been in really big financial trouble. So that is one example from the personal perspective. And I do see people come to me a lot for like rescuing and caring and nurturing in this particular area. And I do believe that 5-1 profile really ties into it. When it comes to business, I often have taken on or been recognized for a leadership role. And one example for this, like nurturing and caring, but also enforcing the rules, is that I used to work, I was a manager of a Pilates studio where we also had group exercise classes, Zumba, spinning, all of that kind of stuff that is usually done with music. Now, let me preface this with I grew up in Los Angeles in the 90s, and I grew up listening to things like gangster rap, reggaeton, all kinds of stuff that has very offensive lyrics in it. Now, when it came, and I wasn't offended by it, but the lyrics were quite offensive. Now, when it came to the studio, I would tell the other group exercise instructors, make sure that whatever music you're using in class is completely clean. If it's in another language, make sure that it is completely clean and that there is absolutely no way that any one of our studio members would be offended by anything that's in your music. And heaven forbid that they did not. Like if I heard something, if I was in the front office or somewhere and I heard some not clean music, like there was hell to pay. So that is how one example of how that logical enforcement and making sure everybody feels supported and that nobody gets offended, that is part of our community and part of our business, like is taken care of.
Great stories.
Thank
I
you.
actually, I actually worked with these two twins, so they're identical twins, and they were the youngest children in their family. But they also had the 2750, and same kind of thing as you, where they would be called upon, even though they were the youngest, to take care of things, to organize things. And they naturally got thrust in that role that felt, like you said, very much a leadership role. And so it's interesting to hear like the similarities between your experience and theirs. It's a lot to take on, especially at a young age. And I'm guessing, like you said, you were experiencing this all the time too.
Yeah, I
Good
also have
stories. Thank you.
27, so I have my stories around 27.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a blessing and a curse sometimes to have it, right? That nourishment and thinking you have to take care of everyone else around you. And I always find myself, I always fall into the trap, right? So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to honor myself. I'm not going to overdo things. But then I always find myself doing it. So we recently moved into a very personal example. We moved into a new house, and everybody's room, everybody's needs was taken care of, and my cupboard was a mess because I didn't have enough, like, things to sort through, and mine was the last, of course. It couldn't have been the first. So just trying to take care of everyone, or like I need time for myself, but we have to make sure the children are fed properly and all that. So I'm always finding myself in doing this. And even at work, I would always have time, like, and still now, like, if my students want to talk to me, I always have time, even if I'm really hot, tired, or anything. Anybody needs nourishment, I have time. Sometimes at the expense of myself, which is, you know we have to be careful about that, for sure. Yeah. And Azadeh had a question, if we don't have any of them, either the 27, 50. So Azadeh, there's nothing as like not having it, right? We all have everything in our design. It's just not defined in you. So that means you don't express it in a certain way all the time, but you do have it. We all have it. Yeah. So it's going to be more flexible. You're going to find. So we are, if it's defined in us and you have nourishment, for example, it usually shows up like, Vanessa's example, like my example. If you don't have it, you might find that in some areas you are overly trying to nourish others, trying to take care of others. And in some areas, because it's not showing up, maybe you won't. Yeah. So it works both ways if you have something not defined in you, but we all have everything in our design.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear even just your experience just with the 27, how these certain roles, being a mom, being a team leader, being a teacher, how easily you can be thrust into that role of, hey, take care of me, help me, take
Yeah.
responsibility for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good stories. But would you like to head over to the logical enforcement?
Yeah, we can. And before we jump in, I also want to remind us, and maybe you could talk to this too, Mike. It's 2750 are also part of profiling traits in somebody's design. Yeah. So that's also something that kind of stands out for these, like their importance, if I can put it that way. In looking at a chart, in looking at somebody, 27 is like our security strategy, and then the 50 shows for our values, and then it would tie to our public role, and how it would show up for us. But they're very important in that sense, the 27 and 50.
Yeah, so what Banu was talking about is that Ra, when he was compiling all the human design system together, one of the things he talked about was this concept called public role in BG5, but it's in human design, it's profile. So I think it's these 8 gates, and if you looked at each of the line qualities of those 8 gates, you kind of bring them together, mash them up, and you get your public role or your profile. And profile is one of the most amazing things to understand. It's one of the ways you help to understand like how you express your design. And so what Vana was talking about is in this particular area with the 27 and the 50 is how you nourish people, how you take care of people. including yourself. And so those public roles can be really important,
Yeah.
whether in personal or for business.
So it's very interesting. Like we just look at one trait, right? It's 27, but there's so many layers in studying human design and BG5 that can represent so many different things in depending on the angle you take and which context you're looking at it. And in the end, it all makes sense for people.
Yeah, it does. It does.
All right, shall we speak to how it shows up in an OC16 or a WA setting? Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
So,
great. Tell me
yeah.
what slide you would like to start with.
This one is good. Let's speak to this one because
Right
it's
here?
like an introduction that I would like to
Okay.
speak to. The one before that you were showing, 18, was it? Yeah, that one. Yeah, this is a good slide to anchor us in, like getting an overview or a higher level understanding of what it stands for. So as with the name, it's for logical enforcement, and it connects to the collective through something logical. Yes, it's about logic. But we also have that enforcement piece in it, which is really like we're going to put logic into this and we're going to set some rules. We're going to make sure this WA or OC16 we're part of is going to be operating. Yes. So we're going to set up all the processes. We're going to be smart about what we do. Yeah. But we're also going to put enforcement in place because if you don't abide by these rules, somebody has to punish you. Yes. So we make sure everybody who's part of that WA has some processes to follow. So there are some logical steps to follow, yes, in doing this. And then we make sure there are controls in place that people are actually abiding by this. So when Ross spoke to this, he talked about it being the most homogenizing force in a WA itself. Yeah. And when he was speaking to it, he was like, okay, logic, we can convince people to do things with logic, or we can convince that we're saying something right because it sounds logical, but it doesn't have to be actually. So it's a way of convincing everybody that, this is what they should do. They should be part of a system in a logical way. But in the end, does it serve the individual or not? We always discuss that in the OC16. We have to be careful, right? How it's affecting us. Is it derailing us? Is it pulling us into certain things? And then that homogenizing factor of, all right, can we really be ourselves in a WA or an OC16? The answer is no, we can't be because we're under constant expectation, that striving that the OC16 brings, plus all these rules. Because when there are too many people, there's got to be rules, right? That's how we can only, in the current reality of the systems we're part of, that's how we can really be part of these systems. And that's why they're held. And for the reason that this collective will securely survive into the future. Yeah. There's a reason they're actually there. Yeah. So it's like rewarding. So the nourishment, it rewards people who are part of it for abiding by it. And then if things don't happen in the way they're supposed to, there's also this punishing that takes place, and there are controls in place to make sure everybody is doing what's right. And these rules they're not set to serve the individuals, but to serve the OC16 itself. Yeah. So they're needed, but they can also be abused. And there's a homogenizing factor that comes into it.
It's almost like I get the sense of like the guard dogs of the company.
Yeah.
Making sure everything's, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like you could think of like if we think in the sense of a company. So for example, the IT department that sets like the security policy, make sure we are not hacked. Make sure everybody has a password, yes, into your email and into your computer, like who accesses what documentation. Or if we're selling something, we need a process, right? Like the product needs to be brought in, it has a cost, we sell it, we make an invoice for it, and all that. So we need logical processes for companies to exist and to function. So this is like also where the work really gets done, right? It's all that whatever needs to happen step by step, that we follow it properly, so the company can really exist. Otherwise, maybe we would forget to collect an invoice, right? And collect the money for an invoice. Or people could prove things out of their bounds and spend the company money, for example. So it makes sure the company exists and works get done, obviously. So these are all part of logical enforcement. The audit departments can go under logical enforcement very easily, for example.
On the surface, it seems kind of like the quote unquote boring stuff, but the way you're describing it, if we don't have these policies, if we don't have these controls in place, we don't operate as a company. Things fall
Yeah.
apart really fast.
Yeah, it ensures survival. And
Yeah.
as you can see, it goes through the survival instinct as well. But it ensures the survival of the company. So they're needed. But they have been abused in WAS, of course, because you can logically convince a lot of people how like World War II started, or a lot of things. We could give a lot of examples around this as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
Mhm.
What's
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. So when Ra was speaking to this, so he spoke about the importance of like that, the security to be there and the recognition. Yeah. So like the WA tells you like the company you work for, or the football club. Let's say you're a player, right? The football club could also a player plays for could also be an OC16. Yeah, so the organization you're part of tells you you're going to do A, B, C, and D, and in return we're going to give you these other things. So it's also when we speak to the 27, it's also the mother father. So they will take care of you, but if necessary, they'll also punish you. And there is like an exchange happening. So it's the bargain that really happens. So when we speak to the 27 specifically, we talk about mother-father figure as well. And the company actually being in that position. Maybe I could just put it that way. Yeah. So it's recognizing who's part of the family and who's not, and who's going to be rewarded or not. So it's the role of the authority, if I can put it. And they're at the same time control agents. So it says we take care of you, and you must do the following. So that's how the bargain also works. Yes, you joined the company. Thank you. We're going to give you a card. We're going to give you a paycheck, but these are the rules you have to abide by. Yeah. And then the 50 is more the security part. Yes, the enforcer, the guardian. So what are the laws? And it really enforces that. Yeah. And if you don't, you're punished. Now, when Ross spoke about these circuitries, these power bases, he said the 2145, which is actually the management. In the hierarchy, the management actually manages the OC16. It was very important, the relationship that the management had to these power bases, because they're very hard to control. They can become their own thing if you're not careful about it, because they can become so strong as well. Yeah. In terms of doing things. So
That's
that's
really
why.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a comment, Mike? Please do.
No, I found that really interesting. Almost like these power bases, become their own little fiefdoms. Like we don't need the rest of the company. We got our thing here. We're going strong.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do
And
have a question for
sometimes,
you.
sorry,
So
Mike, we spoke at the same time.
sorry, I have a question for you. Is it okay? So we're finishing up, and I'm thinking in my mind about this relationship. So in the penta, there's six strengths that kind of, guide the penta, but also it's not the same, but we have six strengths also in the WA, the OC16. What happens in like mid-level companies where let's say this like small group comes together, they have a startup and they begin to grow, but they're maybe they're like 20, 25 people. It doesn't seem possible to cover all of these OC16 strengths that show up in larger companies. What happens when, like, again, it's some kind of like small to mid-level company doesn't have one of these OC16 strengths? Is it
Yeah.
as damaging as not having like penta traits?
Actually, no. Well, if you did have 25 people, highly likely you'll have a lot of them happening. And it's not really, when we look at it from a group perspective, uh, it's not really important to have everything in that, like the channel itself, because usually the power bases tend to be more powerful than the actual channel itself. So they kind of operate together in a way. So even if you don't have one thing defined, we're going to still have those forces. The moment the organization or that group goes above 10, these forces are at play for sure. And we might not maybe find the channel specifically, but we find definitions within the power base. And that's what kind of creates that entity and the way of interacting and things happening. And the people who have certain definitions within certain power bases, these six that we have looked every week, they might feel they might feel like it's more easy to speak because we also look at them from a communications perspective. They become the lines of communication. And people who have definition in there, it's as if they can speak a common language. Yeah. So organizations will definitely have them, even if we don't specifically have everything defined. And it ties to Azade's question in the beginning, because we do have everything, right? So although we like looking at definition a lot when we study BG5 and human design, non-definition doesn't mean it doesn't exist, of course. And
So
Daniela
just
might
to,
also have some comments in general, Daniela, if you wanted to share anything. I don't know if you had anything specific to this or
Yeah,
not.
I think that last comment is very important. When we went in the OC16 course through everything, and also in foundation and all that, I understood very quickly that where my openness is not that I don't have it. I got conditioned there and I got learned through whatever I experienced that energy. But that energy is not consistent. So I can sometimes use it and not use it. And in a WA, I have a lot of traits in the power base, and I have definition in the management channels, but I don't have a full channel. So I got pulled in a lot of extra group assignments, so to say, because apparently I didn't know that. I know that now. My traits, the definition in the power bases, the aura, the business feels that. They feel, oh, Danielle, you can help with that. Oh, Danielle, you can help with that. And um, yeah, then of course you as an individual are like, oh, that's cool. And if you're open for it, you will learn. But you can also yeah, get burned out by it because you're doing so much next to your normal job. And sometimes you don't get recognized for it because in a company normally you get recognized for your job and not for the extra curriculum, or you get recognized differently. And to bring awareness to people um, who work in the big large companies that that could happen. I think that is something we can bring to people so they can feel seen and feel okay to be in a large group. And that is what I really, really liked about learning about OC16 and how it works. You are different than when you're outside the OC16. And that's definitely happening. And it's you can't do anything about it. It is an energy that pulls you a certain way. And I fought it a lot. Now I think, oh, I wish I knew known before because then I wouldn't have fought so hard for certain beliefs or certain things that got pulled out of me. But I learned that's life.
Yeah, thank you, Daniela. So I just want to make another comment on what Daniela said. So when I say like when you're in an OC16 at the individual level, right? Even if we're not working with the team itself, but you're looking at it from a personal perspective. So when I say like you have activations in certain power bases, so is that serving you or is it derailing you from what you're supposed to do? Because if the company expectation, we all have roles in an OC16. So if you know, I'm the operations manager or I'm the salesperson, I'm expected to do my sales role. I have to bring in the revenue. But if the OC16 keeps on pulling me left and right, you know, this project, you know, would you like to do this? You do engagement, you do that. And that usually happens through my activations in these power bases because the WA understands and it wants to pull you because I can speak that language. When I said, you know, if you have activations in a power base, you understand that language. So like in this example, Daniele has a good understanding of, for example, management because she has high activations. She can understand innovation. So then she was given a job in her previous OC16 she worked for, but then everybody kept on coming, oh, you know, we're going to do this new thing. Daniela, would you like to lead that team? Would you like to contribute to that team? And she has a lot of energy, you can see. So she might have said yes, right? And then she has willpower undefined, so maybe she even overcommitted. And then in the end, the OC16 will come and judge you. Okay, you were supposed, this was your job. I contributed to 5 projects. Sorry, you know, that's not our expectation. So that's usually what happens in an OC16 to a person. So you really want to be very careful about where you're being pulled into and is it serving you? If you're careful about it, then you can know, oh, all right, I can see myself being pulled into something now. Okay, is this going to serve me individually or not? Yeah, so we can make more aware and more conscious decisions once we start understanding how these dynamics work for us at a personal level.
Yeah.
And then if I'm the alpha, of course, I think at the high level for the company now, and I'm thinking, okay, how can I leverage these people? I can also play a different game now because I know like what I can pull out of somebody as well. So taking different angles of using the information for everybody's good, right? Is possible when you know what's happening in the background with the forces.
Yeah, and
So
the undefined traits, really, you have them. You really have them, and you learn, especially in a big wall, you will learn them a certain way, and in another project, you will learn them a different way. There's wisdom for you there. It's not that you don't have it. So yeah, that's very important, especially for if when you start with human design and all that, because then it's black and white most of the time for yourself. Um, and I would listen to people and say, and they would talk about a trait, and I was like, well, I've been doing that, so I don't have that. No, you do. You have been conditioned positive. You have that energy only not consistently.
well, thank you both for sharing your perspectives. I really appreciate that. So, Banu, we're going to be winding this whole kind of module up. How would you like to begin to tie it up for people who have been following us through these 6 or 7 episodes? What would you like people to take away about OC16?
Yeah, well, thank you for an invitation to wrap it up. I haven't thought about it, so I'm going to do it, you know, I'm going to think on my feet, which is something I have defined, I think. All right, so here are a couple of things I would really want everyone to take away from our discussion. And it ties into what the comment that I just made. So take a look at your OC16 activations. Take a look at, you don't even have to be able to run this the OC16 spreadsheet that we have, right? Just by looking at the chart and seeing if you have these traits and where you have more definition, it really gives you an idea of what could happen to you in an OC16. So first, the acceptance that the moment we're part of these, anything above 10, we're getting conditioned, we're getting dumbed down. And if it's an OC16, like if I go to the shopping mall, I'm definitely being conditioned, right? To buy, to buy, to buy. So that's being part of a WA. If I commit to an OC16, I sign a contract to work with a company, and I decide to offer my time to a non-governmental organization. I might work for an NGO. Yeah, like I'm working for the Conscious Business Foundation in Luxembourg. We're trying to develop more conscious businesses here. So I'm also committing my time now, and that's an OC16. Yeah. So when that commitment happens and it's an organized thing, it's an OC16. So beware that when you walk into these things start shifting, and certain things are going to be pulled out of you, and it could be despite your liking, and it might not be really serving you either. So being aware of it is very important. So first, like if you have at the personal level, my invitation to everybody is to understand, like if you have these channels, are you being called into executive positions? Maybe people are asking you to lead in these areas when you're part of such organizations and you're committed. Maybe you're a mother and you go and contribute in the school. So that's also can be considered an OC16. So then what's being pulled out of you? If it's a channel, it's going to work differently. Maybe you're going to be asked to lead. Then if you have activations or anything in the power bases, and you could manually look into these, just remember that the why is going to see these things in you and want more of you to work in that area. So be cognizant or be aware that, is this something that's serving me? Is it really derailing me? Is it something that I really want to do? Because we could really use it to our advantage as well. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, yeah, but just being aware of it and seeing how it's affecting us is important. So my invitation to everybody is just to do this exercise for yourself and open up your eyes to see, okay, what's happening all the time that I'm part of these organizations. And then at the more group level or more organizational level, just for everyone who followed through, just know that there are dynamics in the background that an organization can really take benefit of, because we can see these, right? When we look at the team level. Sometimes I get asked, do we have a software for OC16? Well, we have like an entry-level software. It's an access database. So it's not an actual like software that runs everything, but if we put charts into an OC16 database, it allows us to put them into little pentas to establish the lines of communication. So we do have a methodical way of working with the OC16 information for organizations. And it can really help organizations, and especially alphas, take more advantage of their teams and create results or more KPIs for the organization that they're part of. Yeah. So these are the two things I think that I could really outline for takeaways from our discussions.
Thanks. That was great.
Yeah. And then if I know like some of you have really followed through, Vanessa, you were here, Mike, you've been through all the classes. Like if there's anything that you took away that you'd like to share, please also share that.
Vanessa, anything you want to share? Any reflections?
Yeah, I find it so fascinating, especially with the logical enforcement power base. I have 69% activations and 50% of the trades, so it's by far my biggest one, which is something like in my normal everyday life I don't super relate to, but I definitely seen how it comes up in like larger groups and organizations. So it's really fascinating and interesting. And yeah, it's just like anything BG5 related, it's just fascinating. So I'm really grateful, Banu, for all of sharing your brilliance and your wisdom with us and how to apply this for people that don't yet understand OC16 very well.
Thank you, Vanessa.
My learning came, some of my takeaways came early. I remember when Boris was speaking and he got pulled into this leadership role through logical enforcement. And it, according to him, everything about who he was, like from his own perspective, had nothing to do with that. But it was as if the organization said, we need you, we want you in this role. And by all, accounts, he was really good at it in that particular role. The other thing that, and Daniella was just talking about this, that it's one of the reasons I think unconsciously I never went into a big organization is because once you get pulled in, it's almost as if like a river just takes you, and it, come join this committee, come join this program, come join this project, and suddenly like you're being pulled in all these different directions. And I can see why certain people like really thrive there, and other people just feel burnt out by it. So
Mhm. Yeah. So to me, and we had a recent webinar, I think it was last week on OC16, and I was showing how I applied it in the previous company that I used to work for. I think to me, when I started studying OC16 as a BG5 consultant, I saw that my toolkit was not complete until I studied OC16, because what you don't know, right? And although, because I'm part of corporate, a lot of the people around me were always part of an OC16 or a WA, because I was in such environments. And if I just looked at their individual charts as a BG5 consultant, I found out later that my knowledge was actually falling short. Because if you don't take this lens into somebody's individual design and assume that they're expressing their individuality to its fullest while they're part of such transoric forms, we might even mislead them into believing that they could, even your decision-making strategy, make a decision in the office. Well, you're part of some other auric thing that's happening around you. Yes, so take a walk, be in your own aura. Even these things are important sometimes. So I felt like my toolkit was not complete until I studied OC16, and it gave me such different perspectives I could even use, even if you do no teamwork, but you work with clients who are part of anything above 10. Like they work in a company, they're the leader of a company, or they're thinking about growing their company. We talked about startups. Then this information really makes a difference, and it's like, wow, it's complicated. It was complicated to me in the beginning, and it still is, because it's not structured as structured as what we study in the BG5 studies, but it's fascinating to me. And every time I teach it, I'm going over it and learning something new. And we do case studies too, so it's really good to look at how things are happening in different organizations as well. Yeah.
So when does your
I'm a
next class
fan.
start?
You can see.
You have a class starting, right?
Oh, I do. Yes. It's going to be next week on Monday. I teach at 4 p.m. CET, which is GMT +1. So it's 3 p.m. UTC is when I teach on Mondays.
All right.
Yeah.
Rana, thank you so much for this whole sequence. It's been wonderful. Daniela, thanks for joining us for the last couple of sessions. We enjoyed having you. Jim, Asda, thanks for joining us today. And Vanessa and I will be back on January 27th. We have no idea what we're doing, but it's going to be good. Everyone, thank you very much.
Well, at some point, Mike, maybe we do something about the profit potential, because I am teaching profit potential as well, starting next week. I think so, yes. And Mike is assisting me as well, so his energy is going to be there, part of the class.
Yes.
So I'm thankful that you put your hand up for that, Mike. And that's also going to be exciting.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.